My title is National Program Leader. Specifically, the position is targeted towards plant pathology, so the official title would be National Program Leader for Plant Pathology. I work with different programs, funding programs that are associated with crop protection that would range from everything from plant diseases to insect pathogens, weeds, and so on, so everything that comes within that realm. In addition to it, as the National Program Leader, I am also involved in certain base funding, which we call capacity funding, going out to our land-grant university system, and strategic planning in various areas associated with crop protection. I would say the favorite part of my position is being able to go out and talk to the researchers, the faculty, the students, and learn about all the new research, the cool things they're doing, but also figure out what are the issues that need to be addressed. And that could be issues at the grower level, that could be issues at the university level, or it could be issues at the global level. I grew up in India, so I did see a lot of situations created which led to stress or poverty because of issues that could be mitigated. For example, disease epidemics or improper management of resources, waste, food waste because of improper storage facilities and so on. And having seen what dire effects that can have in a developing country situation and what it can lead to really motivated me to go into the field of agriculture in general. I come from a family of doctors for several generations. And to become a plant doctor instead of a human doctor came from this motivation to try to alleviate the problem in plants. That being said, the other thing where specifically pathology was, I went in not only to agriculture, eventually into molecular biology. I did like genetics and molecular biology, but what I found myself after a while, after my master's, which was in hardcore plant molecular biology, is I liked to see the effect of the work I do. Just seeing a band on a gel is not satisfying enough for me until I see what it does to the plant. And plant pathology seemed to be a logical place to be able to do that. So that whole spectrum of molecular to applied was what brought me into plant pathology as a student. And then ultimately having the impact that can help alleviate losses is what has kept me going. Some of that, I would say, happened either you say by chance or by the way things have the track of taken. As I said, is I have gotten the opportunities that I have gotten, I think, to an extent because I tried to keep that balance of both worlds. When I was doing my Ph.D., I had a fungal genomics project, very hardcore molecular project, but I wanted to see how it would translate out into applied. So I did some extra work. Yes, it did take extra hours to do that, but I did extra work studying pathogenicity and looking at the actual applied part. That helped me in my postdoc, which was more applied. Then when I went into the faculty position, I started up a lab which was equally funded by commodity groups as it was funded by federal sources. So I had molecular work and I had things that were very applied in the field. And I was funded also by industry. So this industry work that I did led me to the next part of my career, which I was talking to the students about today, is it was one little project that I started doing on fungicide resistance detection just out of the sheer tiredness of having to plate out so many slow-growing fungi that landed me the position in DuPont. And over there, even in industry, it's a different world. You do not get trained for those things, and that's one of the issues is our students, at least they were when I was in school, we did not get trained for a lot of the things that you're expected to do in an industry position. So in that case, I had to go out of the way and try to learn a lot of new different things to bring them in, but being able to having a breadth of experiences or breadth of knowledge made it easier to do that. And in the current position here, it's not only the skills, it's also the different institutions I have been in is what has helped me in my current position as a program leader, not only understanding the science or the subject area, but also the culture of the different organizations, so you can deal with people. You cannot expect the same reaction from someone working in industry to a problem as you would expect from an academician. However, if you have to make the two of them work together to a successful project, you should be able to talk between the two and bring it together. So those are the things that has, I think, helped me a lot. And in our positions, we're talking to everybody from people on the Hill to students, undergraduate students, even high school students. So you need to do that translation. All these things that I'm saying should be done. I wish I knew that as a graduate student or growing up. Then I would have been way better prepared for where I am now, or maybe I could have done something better. Or maybe I just wouldn't have done anything like this. But, you know, these experiences that you come up, it would have, it's essentially knowing how to prepare myself for these positions and taking steps to do that intentionally would have taken a lot of angst out of me, a lot of uncertainty out of me, and would have opened a lot of opportunities which I did not know of at that point. Coming out of graduate school, I mean, U of M gave me very good training, but my main track was academia. And that's what my life target was until I started moving out and doing it. In the process, I lost several years of my life probably and tried different things. So having that option of different opportunities. I had used to push my graduate students to go out and do internships. If they couldn't, then I would have an extension person in their committee that, if nothing else, one objective has to be applied. So go out there in the field and do it. Not everybody liked it, but you know, in the long run, it served them well. And I wish I had that opportunity to do that, or I had that foresight to be able to do that. I think U of M has an immense role that it has played in my formative years. I came here as an international student. I had been out, I won't say I had been traveled a lot previously, so that's fine, but then coming and growing into the system here, everything from theoretical training to the basic security of being in a place where you know people will look out for you has meant a lot. Also, the fact, the name that the university carries has served me well, especially in plant pathology. And then the faculty who have been here, not only have I learned from them, but also having them as mentors throughout my life. I mean, Jim, for example, taught me, Linda taught me, Brian Stephenson was one of my teachers. Throughout, I had the confidence if something happened, even when I was teaching, if I had a question, I could reach out to Linda, I could reach out to Brian, and they've always been there to help. And that is a moral support, which I think has been very, very important. And also the fact that their networks have become my networks. I would say my defense. My thesis defense. It was a relief. It was scary. That's why I remember room 491, because that's where it happened. But at the end of it, Corby had a lunch for everyone. So it was one of the most, it was a place where I really think I gave the best I could to it, but I also a place that I felt proud of being a part of this department. That's why coming back here again is great. Yeah, so I would think as an international student coming here, it's what becomes, I did not feel discriminated against, okay? It was, I know initially you would think coming to the Midwestern US from a foreign country, you would not, this is not New York City that I'm going to, that you have such a diverse population. You did not have a diverse population here, but they did not let me feel out of place. So throughout the process, I have not felt out of place. I have not been afraid to go approach anybody. I may have an accent, but I have not felt that people did not understand me. And from a personal point of view, I think, I mean, even the student associations, the students who are here interacting with them, faculty interacting with them, the lab mates were there. From everything from arranging a baby shower to I had a child when I was in grad school, but it made me feel at home. And that is, for an international student, other than the whole academic aspect of it, which we do strive our best to do, that whole security, the sense of security that you would feel in your home country, I felt that here. I did not feel alienated at all. So even now for my son, who is in high school, I would love him to come to U of M and go to school if he could. He was born in Minnesota, so he considers himself a Minnesotan anyway. But you know, that whole welcoming attitude is a lot. Plus, as I said, this whole network that it got me to build. For someone from outside coming and finding positions in the US is not easy. Other than the fact just getting used to the education system here is not easy. So if you, in addition to that, if you had to worry about a bunch of other things, it would not have meant it. It doesn't make things any better. So I think that was one big way. Both the student population, the faculty, and the university environment in general was very supportive. What I think as a graduate student, they need to have a well-rounded experience. So if they have a highly molecular project that they are working on, they need to step out a little bit from that and get that experience of actual plant diagnosis or actual plant disease management in the field, or even going out in the field and seeing how planting is done, how the production systems are done, and perhaps having the opportunity to do some things on their own out there. That whole rounded experience is what is required, even as a very fundamental person studying host pathogen interaction who is trying to figure out the mechanisms. Unless you know how those are going to play out in the real field production system, you are not going to be able to make that connection. And when you're looking at a system as a whole, that connection is important. On the other hand, if it is someone who is very applied, they need to have at least the basic ability to do simple molecular tasks, which are becoming more and more routine now. So that overall well-rounded experience, I think, is essential for our students. And oftentimes in a rush to get the degree done, or depending on where the funding is coming from, they may or may not have that ability. So as a department and as a discipline, we need to be able to give them options to be able to do that. And personally, from my perspective, that is what has really helped me throughout my career, moving in the different positions that I have taken. And giving me the option to be able to move there. It's because I always tried to keep that balance of I can do this and I can also do this. And even if I can't do it, I can understand it. As a national program leader, every day there's so many different proposals that come across my desk. I'm not an expert in everything, but I have the basic understanding of this is how this is going to work in the field. If someone comes and gives me a proposal for, you know, doing all these huge fungicide sprays or high value things in corn, I can tell them that it may not be practical to do that because it's economically not required there. You know what I mean? Understanding that whole spectrum, I think, is essential for, especially nowadays as things are becoming more and more diverse. Certainly teaching the students communication skills in terms of presentation skills, in terms of writing things, trying to come up with an elevator pitch, which personally I'm not very good at. I never got taught that. I try to put things together the best I can, but there are people who are specialized in communications who could teach the students to do that. It is becoming more and more important for them to have something like a seminar course where you have a communications course where you learn how to actually talk about your work. To begin with, let's do your work to an outside community. That's one. The second thing which really helps is internships. There are internships which are available in industry. There are internships oftentimes in the government as well. If you can go out and do an internship with these organizations or even some volunteer positions where you actually work hand on hand with these people, you see how they communicate, then that's where you start learning to do that. I think those opportunities, if given to our students, I think at this point there are more internship opportunities for undergraduates than there are for graduate students, but our graduate students also need that experience to be able to go out there and talk.